This is question number 3 from practice test form F. We are looking at graphing a tangent. Now, tangents are a little bit different, so I'm going to make a little bit of markings. You still have your amplitude and your midline, and those will be amplitude is equal to 7, but it's not really an amplitude, but it still stretches, so stretch of the circle. So it's like an amplitude, but it's just the stretch. So that's why we don't call it out. But if you need to write down the stretch or the vertical stretch, you can. If it helps you say it as an amplitude, then go ahead and say it's the same thing, but just to let you know, it's not a true amp, because you have higher values that you go to, but it's the stretch of the circle. For the midline is at y equals 2, which means I went up 2. The b value that we have is 1, so b equals 1. When you're doing tangents, you can take 2 pi divided by 2b, or you can take pi divided by b. They are equivalent to each other. Since there are 2 cycles of tangent in one unit circle, or one phase, or period, cycle, rotation, that is why you have to divide it by 2. So with that, we have that value. If I'm working with my points, I would still be using 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi, just knowing that you have one period here and one period here. But I'm still going to use those because you will have values in between. So you'll have a number you got to find here, 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 and here as you go through. On the unit circle, they are your pi over 4s if we have b equal to 1. If there's any stretch to the circle, which is considered our amp on sine and cosine, those stretches also follow for the tangent. So with this, I am not going to change those numbers. I am going to write underneath them really quick. I don't know if I'll use a red. I don't want to use red, but we'll use red. The value at these spots would be 0, asymptote, 0, asymptote, and 0. So when I graph, those are the points I'm going to focus on first, and then I will worry about dividing and getting the values of the actual tangents to be something other than the value of 0 or an asymptote. And the last thing I have here is I have to travel left to go pi over 2. And so I'm going to draw my graph, and I know I have my wonderful increments for my intervals. And so for my first part of the graph, I'm just going to draw lines, draw a y-axis, and I'm going to do ticks. I'm going to do them a little bit smaller than what I've been doing them, because what we're going to do is we're going to skip every other one for my intervals on the unit circle that we've been using this whole time, so my normal cycle values, and then we'll worry about cutting them in half in order to get to the other values. So I may have way more ticks than I need, but I would rather plan ahead than not have enough and have to extend my lines. So with that, I went up 2. So this number here is at 2. My top number is going to be up 7, so that's going to be a 9, and down here is going to be minus 5 because I have to subtract 7. I am also going to do my ghost line. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker this time. And then I'm going to move this one up and this one down. All right. So what I was talking about is with my 0 pi over 2, 0 pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, I'm going to start at 0, but I'm going to go every 2 ticks. So I'm going to skip the first one, and I'm going to mark pi over 2 right here. And then I'm going to skip one, and then I'm going to come back to pi. And what we're doing is we are allowing for us to cut the 90 degrees in half and see the values of what our pi over 4s will do for the graph. And so 3 pi over 2, and once again, I may have too many values. That's okay. I'd rather have too many than not enough. Negative pi over 2, pi, negative 3 pi over 2, and then negative 2 pi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those in half, and I'm going to write in pi over 4s. So pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4, negative pi over 4, negative 3 pi over 4. Should have made these smaller. Negative 5 pi over 4 and negative 7 pi over 4. So with that, I am now going to look at my increment, and it says I need to graph from negative 3 pi over 2, so I have to start here at my interval, and then I need to go all the way to pi over 2. So I definitely didn't need everything, but I would rather err on the side of caution. So if my graph normally starts in the middle at 0 being equal to 0, because 0 divided by 1 is 0, and I have to shift to the left pi over 2, that means this dot that is normally here at 0 is going to shift to here. So what I'm going to do is instead of putting 0 at, excuse me, 0, instead of putting it in the middle at 0, I'm going to put it at pi over 2. Now, you can put the purple marks in between, but the purple marks will not have asymptotes. So if you start in the center, you're going to skip the next tick, and you're going to put an asymptote at the line that's after that. And then you're going to skip 2, and then you're going to go back to middle. I've hit the end of my interval, so now I'm going to go back the other way. So I'm going to go back to my middle up, negative pi over 2. I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to skip 1, make an asymptote here. And then I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to put my dot at the center. And so now that I have those values, I am good for my zeros and my asymptotes. Now I just have to do is my values to the left and to the right. So as we go around the unit circle, the values and the first quadrant of sine and cosine, which is to the right, is always going to be the value of 1. So I'm going to put a dot up here because that got stretched, and then I'm going to put a dot down here. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the left of pi over 2. I'm going to put a dot on pi over 4, and then at negative 5 pi over 4, I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to put a dot at the 1. What you are going to do now is you are going to connect these, and so we're going to go from the negative 3 pi over 2 up to negative 5 pi over 4. On the full graph, we're going to come down, go down, and we're also going to go up, and then do the same thing again. With our answers, we're going to go over here, and we're going to go fill in the values that we have. My period is going to be pi. Phase shift, I went left, pi over 2. I went up 2, and my asymptotes are at x equals negative pi and 0. Or you would have 0 plus pi for all eternity of n, or 0 plus pi k, and those would also hit them. The answer I'm looking for is just these two. If you want to try to the rules, you may write the rules underneath.